Well, I am doing this video clearly from the lighting in here. I'm doing it at night. It is the last night before I have my kids back with me, and when I don't have my kids, my schedule tends to be a little wackadoodle. Um, Today was a really long, stressful, hectic day full of a lot of pressure and things. And what's been on my mind today, in addition to just feeling like completely overwhelmed, um, is I've been thinking about reactivity, and I've been thinking about this really since yesterday. I had a couple of things happen yesterday that normally I would kind of react to. What is reactivity? I'm certainly not talking about a chemistry experiment, but it's the tendency to respond impulsively to a strong emotion. And often when somebody is reactive, they have these unintended consequences, and they can make a problem even worse by their reactivity. And a lot of people struggle with that. Obviously, there's extreme examples of that, like road rage and such. But a lot of times, reactivity is just nothing but like verbal reactivity. Um, and I have in my life really struggled um, with being either silent and not using my voice at all and just keeping my stuff inside, which is damaging in itself, or I've been reactive, where often I'll keep things inside and then something will happen that elicits a strong reaction or a strong emotion in me, and I'll react. And for me, I'm not aggressive, I'm not throwing things or hitting people, but I might be reactive with my words and the way that I respond to the given situation. And the thing with reactivity is that it often causes feelings of shame and regret afterwards. And so, a good goal for a lot of folks who tend to be reactive is to find ways to mitigate that behavior, to become more aware of it. And I've had to do that. I've worked really hard on that other thing where I've learned to really use my voice and to not stuff things and to express myself. But I'm still working on the reactivity. It's just something that I struggle with. It's like a tendency to just want to kind of defend myself almost, I think, or to be indignant and express my strong emotion in response to something that kind of triggers it. Yesterday I had a couple of text messages from an immigration client, a consulting client, that were kind of rude and accusatory and kind of not helpful. And my tendency, when I saw these yesterday, was to respond to this person and say, no, here's why I'm right about this. This isn't the way it is, and this is why. And, please stop texting me. And instead, I just sat on it and just kind of let these text messages from this client go unreinforced. Again, to clarify, not a therapy client. This is a consulting client, an immigration client, who, again, sent me some messages that were really not very courteous. And so I still haven't responded to those because I made the conscious decision that there's no point in going back and forth with this particular person. It's not going to make anything different. It's not going to take away their anxiety that's prompting their response to me. It's not going to make anything different. So I just sat on it, and I felt like that was kind of a success for me, a little tiny one. I also had a situation with a family member that might have prompted in me kind of a fast knee-jerk response, a reaction to it. And instead, I didn't do that. I just kind of sat on it. Now, I only sat on it for about an hour, but for me, an hour was about the right amount of time that I needed to just construct a response that was more productive rather than reactive. And so those are just two examples of why that's been in my mind and in my thoughts. But again, it's just something that I've really done a lot of work on. I was raised in an environment, as I've mentioned in other videos, I was raised in an environment where people were really explosive and very reactive. And probably from a very young age, I learned, sadly, that that's what you do when you're threatened. That's what you do when you have a strong emotion, where you're angry or you're upset, is that you react. And it may be that that reaction is at the other person, or it may be that it's like a self-destructive reaction. Fortunately, I haven't had a lot of the self-destructive variety, but it is something that I've kind of had to unlearn, even at this advanced age that I am. So that's what's on my mind. I feel really good about the fact that I'm learning this part of my life, and I'm learning not to be reactive, because I am not. I'm not an angry or, intense person. A little high strung, a little anxious. I don't want to be somebody who's reactive. Too damaging for everybody involved. So that's what's on my mind, and I think I'm getting better with that. But what I do when I've today's mind body exercise or skill is actually something that is legitimately a mind body exercise, which is dancing. I am definitely not going to dance on this video. I'm sure everybody will thank me for that. But dancing has been a part of my life off and on, but certainly in my adulthood, actually, much more than my childhood. I've always loved music. That's a part of me. But I have discovered ways of dancing that are very therapeutic. One is when I had my home that was recently sold, I would start a workout. If I couldn't get out and do a workout, I would work out at home. I had a space for that. And what it would start out with, like calisthenics or aerobics, would sometimes just turn into dancing with no script, no choreography, just moving my body. And that was such a great feeling. I go to a Zumba class, and Zumba's kind of silly. Some people are like, that's silly. Zumba is silly. There is this wonderful, affirming Zumba instructor by the name of Mark Molaski, who I've had the absolute joy of attending his classes, and he has them all over the city. You can, I'm sure, Google him if anybody watches this and wants to go. Silly, fun, affirming, absolutely whimsical dancing. And today, after the day I had, I could have used that hour or hour and 15 minutes to, I don't know, do some work. But instead, I said, I'm going to go to Mark's Zumba class because I darn well need it. And it was such a great decision. So that was my mind-body exercise. And in fact, in the mind-body skills groups that I do, one of the things we do is actually dancing as a form of therapy, of a mind-body skill. Because moving your body in a fast way can be super therapeutic for a lot of people. We need that. Doesn't work for everybody, but for those who it does resonate with, it can be a great way. So if anybody happens to watch this, I encourage you to, if you have a space, put music in your ears or in your surroundings and just move your body, and have fun with it. Dance like you did when you were in high school, or just move. Such great therapy. So that was my mind-body skill tonight that, again, I'm not going to demonstrate, but just talk about. The song that I'm going to add to my playlist is a song by a Swedish band called No, No, No. And it was like their one hit. I don't know, maybe not their one hit, but it's called Pumping Blood, actually. And it's super fun, great song, has no big deep meaning, but it just is, as the name implies, about just life. And I think the line in the song is, it's your heart, you're alive, you're pumping blood. It's just like, we're all here and we're alive, and thank goodness we are, and let's enjoy that and appreciate it. So it's a fun song because I'm in that dancing frame of mind, so I'm going to add that. It's like 180 degrees different from the song that I added yesterday, but what the hell? What's a good playlist without absolute ridiculous variety? So that's what I'm adding to the playlist.